I hired a couple of programmers, created a software company. We were computerizing art galleries, and I moved the company to New York City. And I had an amazing time, man. I was young, I was invincible. I was going to be the next Bill Gates. I was going to retire early and drive around in a red Ferrari. Things didn't quite work out that way. I was working 10 to 14 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. And yeah, it was exciting. I was in my mid-20s, but it was stressful. It was exhausting. It was hard to get my employees to do anything I wanted them to do. My attitude at the time was, if I needed it done right, I was probably going to have to do it myself. So in 1993, I sold that company, and I didn't sell it for much. Who would ever want that job, grinding it out day after day after day? So I took some time to reflect. Owning a business hadn't been as much fun as I'd imagined it would be. In fact, at that time, it was pretty frustrating and really not very profitable at all. I mean, how was I going to retire with a ton of cash in my pocket? How was I even going to be able to live long enough to be able to retire? So then I read this book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth. It made a lot of sense to me. It talked about the importance and value of having documented processes that could be used for hiring, training, managing employees so you could get them to do what you needed them to do. Consistently, reliably, time after time after time. I mean, what an amazing key concept. And it made so much sense to me that I created a consulting company delivering the E-Myth Mastery Program to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies. Now, we've worked with lawyers, with mortgage brokers, with chiropractors, really with every type of construction contractor, like HVAC guys, electrical plumbing contractors, landscaping contractors. We've worked with almost every type of business, and I can't tell you how often I hear, but my business is different. My business could never be process dependent. My business could never be systematized. But I did it myself, and I had a consulting company. I mean, what could be more difficult to systematize than a consulting company? You see, when my son was in 8th grade, my wife was concerned that he was little, and she was wondering, what could we do to help him grow up a little, to mature just a bit before he went to the local high school? This was a really big school. I mean, thousands of kids. Well, the answer, in 2004, we took a year off and traveled around the world. It was the most amazing thing I could have ever done in my life, and I would never have been able to do it had I not left behind all of the processes that everyone needed to be able to do what they needed to do. I mean, it was essentially calling in for the numbers, and through it all, 12 months later, I came back and things were sort of pretty much humming along the way they needed to be humming along. I've seen so many business owners get stuck in this rut, just grinding it out, worried week after week after week. How are they ever going to make payroll? Or they're just so busy, they don't know when they're going to be able to have time with their family and kids, and they've got a baseball practice or a baseball game or a soccer game to get to. How am I going to get to that? It doesn't have to be this way. I know this. I've helped hundreds of business owners get to this place of freedom, and like I told you, I've done it myself. So let me offer you just a slightly different picture. Michael Gerber, the author of The E-Myth, once said, the only reason to own a business is to get more of what you want from life. Well, what he's saying is useful, and it's really powerful, but it's a big question. I mean, it's a daunting question to ask, what do you want from life? To make it easier, I'd say, what do you want from your business? Now, that's a really important question to answer, and I think it's an easier question than asking, what do you want from life? So, what do you want from your business? Is it more money, more time, more fun, more control? Maybe it's all of those. All of those things, they boil down to one thing: more freedom. More freedom to do what you want to do. In all the work we've done with hundreds of business owners over the past 20 years, we see that this freedom comes in 3 categories or types, and it's simple. There are really only 3 different things. Freedom to do what you love to do in your business without having to do all that stuff that you don't want to do. That's one type of freedom. Freedom to be calling in for the numbers from the British Virgin Islands. That's what I did, right? To be taking off and coming back 3 months later or something. Then the third is freedom to build your business's value so you can sell it. You can get this huge chunk of cash and retire comfortably. You did not start a business to be stressed out and controlled by it. You started a business so you could have more freedom. If, for example, the thought of taking a long vacation is stressful, and I mean a long vacation, 3 weeks, 2 months, maybe even a year, travel around the world with your family like I did, well, that's a little extreme, then you don't have the freedom you're searching for. If you can't go because all that you've worked for would fall apart if you were gone that long, or it's just not worth it because of the backlog of crap that would be waiting for you when you got back, well, what's the point? Really, what's the point of owning a business? Now, you might be saying that all this hard work and sacrifice that you're putting into your business, this sweat equity is creating value. You're going to have something to sell someday, and then you'll have your freedom. I got news for you. Chances are nobody's going to want to buy your business when you're ready to sell it. I know. I've been there. I've done that. I told you the story. I didn't get what I wanted for my business. And if you are able to sell it, again, you won't get what you want for it. I mean, who would want your job? But more importantly, think of all the life you've lost while you were toiling away. If you started your business when you were in your late 20s or 30s, and you're grinding it out until you're in your late 60s or 70s, you've already lived the best part of your life. It's gone. It's over. But if it's easy to get away, if your business runs like a well-oiled machine, whether or not you're there, well, that business it's worth a ton of money, and it's in fact it's serving you. It's giving you what you want. And frankly, you probably don't need to sell it because it's giving you so much freedom. You're living your life to the fullest.